Through the corridors asleep lie shadows dark and deep. My mind dances and leaps in confusion. I don't know what is real, I can't touch what I feel, and I hide behind the shield of my illusion. So I continue to pretend that my life will never end, and flowers never bend with the rainfall. The mirror on my wall casts an image dark and small, but I'm not sure at all it's my reflection. I'm blinded by the light of God and truth and right, and I wander in the night without direction. So I continue to pretend that my life will never end, and flowers never bend with the rainfall. Thank you. And a very peculiar topic. And a man who's supposed to get on platform and speak picks up a guitar and begins to sing. I wonder what is going on in your mind at this moment, especially at this time of the day. Well, I did it very much deliberately, thinking that this finds an apt entry into the heart of the topic, which I intend shedding light tonight. 50 years ago, there was a medical opinion that if a man ran a mile under 4 minutes, he wouldn't be in the land of living. The medical reasoning was that the human lungs did not have the capacity to provide the necessary oxygen for a man to perform such act. But there was this crazy guy who defied this medical opinion and ran a mile under 4 minutes. But he was very much in the land of living. He did not die. But that is not the point. Once he had established this feat, within the next 8 months, there were 12 others who ran a mile under 4 minutes. So most of the barriers that we face in life are psychological, are mind created. It is these people who do not fear to defy convention, who do not fear and who do not take things as given, that become pioneers in their respective fields by expanding the horizons, be it sports or business. As you know, the event high jump, today they clear the parallel bar head first. In the 1970s, it was leg first. But one Mr. Fosbury from USA tried to clear the parallel bar of the high jump head first in the 1970s. He was ridiculed. But today, not only the technique that he tried in the 70s is accepted world over, but the technique is being named after him. I'm into manufacturing. I manufacture the impact sensor for the airbag of the automobile. It is the device which will give the signal for an impact for the airbag to pop out. And the end users of my product includes Toyota, Honda, Mitsubishi, Mazda, almost all the brands in Japan. Then Volvo, Saab, BMW, Aston Martin, Volkswagen of Europe, General Motors, Ford and Chrysler of USA. All the big brand names, automobiles are using the product that I do here right in Sri Lanka. The uniqueness of the product that I'm in is that the quality requirement of this product is called 1 ppm quality. That means only a single defect would be tolerated for 1 million produced. Understandably, for the impact, the airbag must come out. It cannot fail. So when I embarked on this, I was told it will not be possible to achieve this kind of quality, this high level of quality, with the existing work ethic of this country. But looking at all the great monuments built by our ancestors and the precision work that they had undertaken almost 2,000 years ago, I was convinced to the contrary. I thought that this DNA must be somewhere in the blood of our people. It was just a matter of providing them the right leadership to rekindle this DNA. And today, my company has been named as the first company to enter the international, first Sri Lankan company to enter the international market with a 1 ppm quality product. Thank you. I studied at St. Anthony's College, Kandy. And back in 1986, soon after my ordinary level exams, I received a scholarship to go to Japan from an American organization called the American Field Service. It was a cultural exchange program, and I was in Japan for 1 year. It is during that time, it was part of the scholarship that I visit all the big conglomerates in Japan, Toyota, Honda, Mitsubishi, Canon Corporation, Matsushita Denki, which is known as Panasonic in this part of the world. The present business idea was conceived in my mind when I visited Toyota back in 1986. But it was not until a long wait of 15 years that I started the present business that I'm in. Understandably, it is very difficult to penetrate these big conglomerates. These big conglomerates will never take an individual like me from a tiny island so seriously. Because the turnover of Toyota, for example, is equal to the GDP of about 60 countries put together. So why would they talk to a virtual non-entity like me for business? But after 15 years of knocking, I have been successful, and right now, even Toyota, and as I mentioned, all the big names are purchasing my product. I will not come out with the comprehensive business success story of mine tonight. It is not the time of the day to come out with it. But I will rather focus just on one incident that happened during one of my visits to Japan. As you know, when you do business with the Japanese, it is very vital. Your physical presence in their country is very vital. All these emails and faxes are not going to compensate or replace your physical presence. And I became such a frequent visitor, I purchased a house in Nagoya. And a 15-minute walk in the morning from my home in Nagoya all takes me to my office in Nagoya. And I really enjoyed this walk because I had to pass some rice fields and I had to cross a bridge and there was a very tranquil stream flowing underneath. I enjoyed this environment. And the Japanese, the polite nation they are, everyone that I meet would greet Ohayo gozaimasu, that is good morning in their language. When I visited Japan in September, there was this gentleman among other people, one Mr. Suzuki, who greeted me, Ohayo gozaimasu, good morning, and also at the same time told me, can we have a word? I felt a tinge of seriousness in his voice. I said, on my return from work, I will drop by, which I did. He ushered me to his house. We sat on the floor, a tatami floor, and he told his wife, bring that. She came with a huge file and gave it to me. To see, it contained of medical reports. Mr. Suzuki has been diagnosed for cancer. His days were numbered. Then he told his wife, bring that as well. Then she came with a black box. And he told her to open it. When she opened it, there was a saxophone that was glittering in gold. And he told me, what you see, what is before your eyes, is my whole life. I'm a professional saxophonist in a Japanese orchestra. And all the material wealth that I've accumulated, all the luxuries that I have provided my family, I have provided through this instrument. So I told my wife, let this also go with my last journey. But when I saw you this morning, I changed my mind. I remember you once inviting us for dinner at your place and playing Simon and Garfunkel on your guitar. And I thought today that rather than taking this with my last journey, it is better to gift it to someone who has a flair for music. I was emotionally struck. I said, no, I will be coming back to Japan in 2 weeks' time. I will accept it then. He said, no, who knows? I may not survive the 2 weeks. Please accept it today. And I did accept. And my route was Nagoya, Singapore, Colombo. The airline crew wanted me to check this in. I declined. I said, this is his life. So if you don't allow me, I will cancel my flight. And they obliged. They said, okay, you can hand carry. And once arriving in Sri Lanka, after about 10 days, I had a dream. I saw Mr. Suzuki dressed in white appear and tell me, Deva, sayonara. That means goodbye. It was around 2 o'clock in the morning here in Sri Lanka. I felt very uneasy. I couldn't go back to sleep that day. After 4 days, I was back in Japan. In Japan, it is customary, if a funeral takes place, your dear ones place flowers around that house. And when I was passing by Mr. Suzuki's house, I saw flowers kept around his house. And this black box that you see here today is the one that he gifted. And I thought I will share this emotion with you. And it wouldn't have been completed unless I showed this to you. This is what he gave me. Now, when you hear a story like this, if you feel that the two sides of your forehead is being squeezed, I'll tell you, you're on the right path. Because all these great business ideas will come to people who are emotionally sensitive. These innovative ideas, there's a likelihood that the innovative ideas will be grasped by people who are emotionally sensitive. The last year, the turnover of my company was 38 million US dollars. And as I told you, innovative ideas will come to you it's more likely if you are an emotionally sensitive person. Innovative ideas are like frog's eggs. Here comes my topic. Out of millions hatched, only 1 or 2 would reach its maturity. So what is important is that we create an environment that is conducive to the free flow of ideas like TED is doing tonight in Colombo. It is among these free ideas that we may find 1 or 2 ideas that will change the world. Recently, at a gathering, I was addressing some students who had just passed out of the university. I wanted to know from them as to what their aspirations about employment. And they named all the big blue chip companies in this country and abroad and told that they were willing to work for these companies. But my question was, if everyone was trying to work for existing blue chip companies, where is the generation that creates these big conglomerates for the next generation to get employed? So think differently. And when you try to do something different, people will disagree with you. They will laugh at you. Then they will ridicule you. Then if possible, they will try to fight with you. But then you win. That is the path. Think about it, and thank you.